Hey everyone, we have Bhasmang Mehta joining us as a wildlife photographer from India today, who has a wildlife tour company and takes images up close and personal with some of the most wild animals. We're going to bring him on here to talk about tips and tricks of taking images in difficult scenarios and why he loves wildlife photography.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, Christina. How are you?
Thanks for coming on today.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, Christina.
So we wanted you to introduce yourself and talk about where this passion came from of yours, first of all. And I'm sure a lot of people would be curious. And I have some questions on how you keep yourself safe and how you plan to do all of this. So go ahead.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining in today on this live session. I'm Bhasmang Mehta. I am a professional wildlife photographer, basically from India. And now I'm a resident of Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. I am a professional wildlife photographer and I run a wildlife tour company where I organize these wildlife safaris in India and South America. So my company is named as Wildlife Sojourns. To begin with, how I started to answer your question, Christina. It all I was a travel lover right from the childhood because my parents were passionate about travel. So with them, I traveled to many parts of India. I'm born and brought up in India, in Ahmedabad. It's in the western part of India, and
Okay.
later on, the wildlife came into my life quite late. I would say when I was 24. It was in the year 2002 when we visited. We were attending a cousin's wedding in a place called Amreli. Amreli is on the fringes of Gir National Park. So after the wedding was over, many of my cousins, they said that since we have come so close to Gir, why not go and explore the jungle? So we went there, we did the first safari. We had absolutely no knowledge about wildlife at that point. It was our first ever trip to any wildlife sanctuary. Even though
Really?
I was carrying a small camera, I was carrying a SLR camera. DSLRs weren't even invented at that time. It was the age of SLR cameras, the analog cameras. And
Who gave you that first camera? Why'd you get it?
I got it from my mother-in-law. It was a gift from my mother-in-law. It was the Canon EOS Rebel XT. It with a 1855 lens, because I was more into travel photography at that time. And whenever me and Zan used to go out, we used to click photos. So with that camera happened my first ever wildlife shot in Gir. There was a big male leopard. We entered the park and we saw him within 10-15 minutes. And later on in that trip, many such wonderful sightings happened. We saw some wonderful Asiatic lions there. And that was kind of the beginning of my love affair with wildlife photography. So coming back home, I was excited to get the photos developed and see how I got. Because at that time you are so excited. It was your first safari and you saw so many big cats. So from then on, I was more specified that now I want to do only wildlife photography. So probably I would say that was the first ever incident which started this love affair. Yes. So the coming home, I was at that time I was in my family business. My family, we were into pharmaceuticals manufacturing. We used to make medicines. So I was large part of my life. Then I was busy in my work. So I never used to get too much time to go and explore the wild, but I wanted to. And later on, whenever I used to get time, I used to pack my bags and go to Gir, photograph them. Much later came the tigers. I would say about 7-8 years of my first 7-8 years of my wildlife photography as a hobby. I had not gone to any tiger sanctuaries. It came very late because unfortunately around Ahmedabad where I used to live, there aren't many tiger sanctuaries. So,
Yeah.
and since I was quite busy, I never used to get time off from my work. So,
So would
and
you
then
plan it in advance or you just decide like today's the day I'm gonna go?
It used to be in advance in any case, but not as it is now, because
Yeah.
we have to get permits done and everything. But back then it wasn't a problem that much. But still, to get there, the planning used to, on my part, planning was to be done because of my work, that I had to schedule my work accordingly so that I can get my time off and go.
Mhm.
So I went there in 2011. That was my first ever tiger safari that happened, and since then, it was like that. I got much deeper into this photography. The tiger is such an enigmatic animal that once you see it, you will forget everything. So later on, I was finding it very difficult to manage my passion and my profession. So I decided that now it's time for me to quit one, and I decided to quit my profession, which was my family business.
When was the first time you thought maybe I can do this full time? And then when did you make that decision? How long?
I thought, to be honest, Christina, I thought in early 2010. That's about 8 years after I started doing this photography as a hobby. That I think I can be a good professional wildlife photographer. But the kind of social structure in India we have is that people, unless you are a doctor or a chartered accountant or an engineer, people will think that you are good for nothing. So they won't take things like, oh, professional photographer. Oh, that's okay, but what do you do for earning? That's kind of a typical stereotype mentality, which
So
kind of,
did that hold you back, you think, that mentality? Was this something that you were like,
yes, exactly.
no, I don't think I can keep my reputation or keep my status
Yeah.
and also do this?
Yeah, that kept me whole for about good 1.5 years. And then once I was pretty much sure that I'll do good, because that was something which I was doing from my heart. So eventually, towards the end of 2011, I decided that enough is enough. I cannot manage both things anymore. So I came home, talked to Zen, my wife, that this is what it is, and I'm finding it very difficult to manage both the things, and I am deciding that I'll move out of our family business. Talk to parents, and thankfully they supported me very well. They said, you do whatever you think is correct, and we are there to support. So thank God it was because of their support that I'm here talking to you guys.
What time do you go and when do you leave?
Usually, you mean to ask the safari timings?
To go sighting. Do you wake up early?
It's usually
or?
It's usually morning and evening, 3.5 hours in the morning. Usually the safaris in India, they start at 6 o'clock in the morning. The safaris, the morning session, and they end at 9:30. And in central India, some of the Madhya Pradesh national parks, they have a permission up to 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, you come back to your hotel, and then you go back again in the evening at 3 o'clock and 3:30, depending upon the winter and summer timings. And it's basically from sunrise to sunset. In between, there is a gap of about 3-4 hours. You also have an option of full day and half day safaris, where you can go at the sunrise and come back at sunset. So there are different times that you can go. So since I had that knowledge, I started that, why don't we start this company? The third R, which I wanted to mention, was is it being at the right place at the right time with the right person? Because the kind of naturalists that you work with, it can make or break your trip. Because there will be a few people who will be assisting you in sighting a tiger. So you have to find the cream of the cream. Who is the best in the business? Who knows the jungle in and out well? So through all these years of experience, I had got enough context, enough bonding with the locals, that I thought that I can make the best use of my expertise.
And you have how many people with you helping you?
In different national parks, we have a team of people, the drivers and the guides that we work with. So whenever I'm going, they will assist me on the safaris. And same when my guests are going, they will be the ones who will be going with them. So because I trust them, because I have a deep bonding with them.
What do they help you with? Like, give me an example.
To give you an example, to go to the jungles, you need a safari vehicle, which will be driven by a driver and a guide. You can choose the guide and the driver both. because when you are doing the photography, it is very, very essential to have a good driver who knows the importance of where to stop, how to park the vehicle so that you get the maximum, chances of photographing. If there is a ditch on the road, he will park it on the ditch so that a tiger when comes, you get the eye level. So that knowledge has to be there in a driver. So I always pick the best drivers. Naturalist can make or break in a way that I always believe that a good photographer has to be a good naturalist first, because there are so many tigers. For example, if I give you an example of Ranthambore, there are about 50 to 60 tigers in the national park. So they have a specific territory that this territory belongs to this tiger. So at what time they are active, that knowledge, and which is the route that they take when they are going on their evening stroll, marking their territory. So that knowledge only can a naturalist can give you. So having a good naturalist with you is very, very important.
What about your equipment? Do you ever need anyone to help you with that?
No, absolutely not. Wildlife photography is a one-man show. You have to carry your own equipments and do the photography, because it's something which you you can do it on your own. You don't need any assistance for that.
How do you keep yourself safe? Like, how close do you get to them?
It depends. I mean, safe. See, all these animals, they are born seeing people around them. So for them, seeing people in safari vehicles, photographing them, it's not something which is new. So they are quite used to the presence, human presence, I mean. So they are at ease with the people around them. However, you have to have that knowledge. They will give subtle signs of boredom or aggression. So that's the thing which you need to keep an eye on, that, oh, this animal is getting bored by the presence. And I always tell that there is a line of comfort between an animal and you. And you need to know that line. You never cross that line. If you cross that line, that animal is gonna attack in self-defense.
So tell me, I'm so curious to learn how you developed your business. Like when you first started out, as you basically told your family, I'm going to be a photographer, right? There was no idea of your touring company. At that point, did you have customers?
No. At that time, all I did was that, I just wanted to do this as a full-time profession. When I started out, I had no idea that in future, after a few years, I'll be starting this tour company. But I knew that I will be up to something. I'll be doing something. Either I'll be good at selling my fine art prints or my photos to make a living. And thankfully, I have got a strong family financial background. So that wasn't a problem that, because of my work, I knew that for 5-6 years, I'll be afloat even if I don't do anything. And I was sure of that within that 5-6 years, I'll create something which gives me a platform to launch.
What's hard is setting yourself, like pivoting yourself to be able to think clearly, like, how can I do this? It's like, what advice do you have for people that don't have that safety net, that think like, I really want to do something that I'm passionate about, but I don't have anyone. If it doesn't work out, I'm in trouble. How can they think about, because this is like, you created multiple ways in which you could create business. What do you think they can do? How do they think about that?
I always tell this is one question which is being asked by so many young photographers who want to take this as a profession. So I always tell them that don't enter this field for the sake of money straight away. It's very, very difficult to come into this field. At least I'm talking about India. In USA, we have a different, there are a lot of opportunities in US. But if I talk about India, it's very, very difficult. So I always tell them that once you're done with your studies, you start a job, you do a job, or you do a business, or whatever you want to do, you do that and develop this as a hobby. Like in my case, I took care of my company for 17 years before I took the plunge. So if you can think of the 2002 to 2012, 10 years was the time that I balanced both my company and my hobby. So that gave me substantial support family-wise. All the professional wildlife photographers in India who are totally into this, either they had a job before, either they had some business before. and now they have turned themselves into this photography. So it's not that you graduated today and you start photographing tomorrow and you start earning. It's very, very difficult. So I always tell them that keep your savings with you. That will help you once, and that will also that time will also help you to gain knowledge in photography, because it's a vast subject. No matter how I can teach you online, when you go there practically, it's a totally different ball game, because this is one genre of photography where you don't control anything. You are not sure what light would be. You are totally dependent upon natural light, what light conditions would be, what sighting, whether you'll be able to see a tiger or not. So it's very challenging. So more you go, more you practice, you get better with every outing. So I always tell them that don't take a plunge straight away. Think, have your financial things sorted, and then once you know that now I have got sufficient funds with me and I have got sufficient knowledge, which can, only funds won't help. You have to have a knowledge also to excel in any field. So that's the thing which I always tell these young guys.
So, I mean, how do you practice patience? Like, if somebody told me don't start your business for 7 years, I'd be like, leave the room, I'm starting it now. I mean, how do you be patient?
There are two things, Christina. When you enter a field of wildlife photography, patience comes automatically. Those people who know me as a child, they would tell you that I was a restless child. It was very difficult for me to sit still for more than 3 minutes. I'm hopping here and there constantly. So, and when you have to wait endlessly for a particular shot that you want, particular background you want, and when you have to go a number of times to a particular place or different places to get a kind of shots you want, patience comes automatically. With passion comes patience. Or
That's great. You have a question, I think.
Yeah. Do you have a species, animal particular that you like to photograph, and why? Mount DJ, yes, definitely. I like to shoot all the 3 big cats that are seen in India. We have Royal Bengal tigers. I love to photograph tigers for the sheer grace that they possess. They are so enigmatic that once you see a tiger, you will tend to forget everything else. That's the charm, that's the aura a wild tiger possesses. So I love tigers for their grace. I love Indian leopards for their sneakiness, because to be able to survive in a jungle which is dominated by either Royal Bengal tigers or the Asiatic lions, it takes a lot of doing. So I love love to photograph leopards for their sneakiness, for their elusiveness. They are so elusive. So to track a lion and tiger is rather easier than to track a leopard. So that excitement, that when you're going in the jungle to track down a leopard and then ultimately photograph, that gives me the adrenaline rush. So I love leopard. I love to photograph leopards for that reason. And Asiatic lions, definitely, they were my first love. That's the first ever wild animal that I ever saw. And I'm also working on the conservation of Asiatic lions in Gujarat. So I'm very much attached to them. So these are the 3 species which I always love to photograph.
We have a question that's asking, do you teach? You would make a great teacher. What do you think we're doing right now?
I teach to all those people who join on my workshops. I used to organize them fairly regularly when I was in India. And since now I live in US, I plan to do that whenever I go back to India in the months of winter. I plan to go every year for a month or so that I can do this workshop and teach the aspirants the intricacies of wildlife photography.
So what about for their local area? There's always such interesting animals, obviously, everywhere around the world. How do people start practicing and finding you said you practiced with birds, some of the birds. What should people look for around them?
I always, I'm a big advocate of doing backyard photography, be it in US, be it in India. There will be a few species of birds around where you live. No matter where you live on this planet, there will be a few species of birds. So I always tell my participants, don't sit idle with your camera. Don't let your camera sit idle. Take a take a grab of your camera when you see a bird outside. Go practice. In US, we have so many like hummingbirds. So this is the season for hummingbirds. So you keep a nectar feeder, and hummings are bound to come. So then you can practice photographing there. So then you find a good wetland where you can see the wetland birds, the waders. If you live by a seashore, you can just go to the beach and photograph shorebirds. So there are lot many ways that you can skill yourself with. You can brush up your skills in terms of photography, and then whenever you get a chance, you go for the big game. By big game, I mean the big cats. So that's one thing. And then if you keep water in your garden or bird feeders, like many people in US do that, and now people in India also have started doing it. So you keep bird feeders, birds are bound to come there. So you are giving food to them as well, and at the same time you are giving yourself an opportunity to photograph them and sharpen your skills in photography.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
We have another question here.
Yeah. Any rare species that you were able to photograph? Wasim, if I talk about rare species, in fact, these tigers, leopards, and lions, besides them, one of the very lesser known or lesser seen birds I was fortunate to photograph was the black-necked grape. It's not very easily seen in India. I had to work very hard, and I had to go to a place called Jamnagar, and I photographed them. So that's your question, sir. Where are you from in US? Preeti, I live in North Carolina. I live in Charlotte. I think there was one question from Ananya. What's the best way to contact you for trips and workshops? Ananya, you can shoot me a direct message on my Instagram at Bhasmang Mehta. There is my phone number mentioned there as well. And I can help you plan your safaris. Then there is one. Pawan says your tips helped me a lot while clicking. Oh, thank you so much, Pawan. I'm glad my tips helped you, man. Thank you.
We have also, how do you improve your mobile photography?
To be honest, I won't be the right person to answer that since I have not done photography with my mobiles that much. But yes, definitely you can work upon the compositions. That will give you an idea of how to compose a photograph. Now, since more advanced mobile phones, you can set your aperture, your shutter speed in that. Earlier on, the mobile cameras used to be like point and shoot. You just point and shoot it. But now, since all these new mobile cameras have different capabilities, you can try and learn. But basically, what you can learn is the composition. That once you get the composition right, once you get the knowledge of light, well, that's how. And then eventually, when you have an option or you have an opportunity, you can move on to the cameras.
I also have a question, like for all these people, especially with Corona and everything, I always like to see how people can work with what they have around them. So do you have any advice on how they can get business opportunities or how they can go out and try like locally? Like even if they're shooting something for a business, or how do they start to build their network around them?
Basically, network comes, once you're connected to the like-minded people. With this Corona has hampered all of us, our movements and everything. So rather use this time of lockdown in kind of getting connected to more and more people in a way, and then you can always get new ideas, new opportunities. That's the beauty of social media, that you connected. I'm talking to you today, and through you I'm talking to so many people. So that's how you can get connected to your like-minded people, and you may get some opportunity once the corona thing is done, and once we are all able to move out the way we used to do earlier this year, at the beginning of this year, or maybe the last year. So that's and then you can apply those things and get going. But and there's another way, that you invest your time in learning. So many online courses are there. Whatever you want to learn, not just wildlife photography, there are so many things which you can do, which you can learn online, sitting at home, in the comfort of your home, in the safety of your home. And that's how you can make a best use of your time.
Yeah. And you've been able to get such a big following too on your social media. I'm sure you've met so many people that way and have started talking with people that way. How do you feel like this has changed? Did you first start thinking, I'm just going to put all the pictures that I've been taking out? And then how do people build like a niche account where they can start talking with people that like that same subject?
To gain followers on social media, or the way to use social media, I would say, is that right from the first day when I started to be on social media, when I started to be on Instagram, I had made sure that I'm not here to post anything and everything. I would post only what I like, and if I don't like my picture, who else is gonna like it? So I have been very particular. So I have been very, very particular about selecting a photo that I post. I don't click for posting it. I always tell my students that don't click photos so that you can go and post and share on your Instagram. Don't be here to get famous. These all are the byproducts, your likes that you get, the comments that you get, the followers that you get, whether you get a blue tick or not, they are all a byproduct of what you do in the field. You do it with a passion, you do it with the right knowledge, you apply your right knowledge of photography, you do it with passion, you do it with patience, and you come out with good photos and then post it, and then people are gonna love. And once people love, they will like the other photos, they will start to follow you, they will recommend your page to other people, and that's how you grow, but if you come to this field that, oh, I want to get a blue tick, I want to get a famous photographer, and you are not passionate about it, it's not gonna work. Posting regularly is again a second thing that I always tell people to do, that you have to have regular posts. It's not that haphazard thing that you posted it today and then after 20 days you will post something, and then the next day you will post something, and then for the 10 days you won't be posting anything. No, you have to plan your post accordingly, and don't post anything and everything. So I am very, very particular about selecting my photos. The way I do is that once I'm back from the safari, and if I have time, I will go through all the photos that I have clicked, and I would say whatever photo, if I think that this is not correct, I will delete it immediately. So I will not waste my space on my XPD cards and SD cards, and then the botheration of coming back home and transferring the photos and then removing it. I am very, very choosy about posting my photos. So good content always gets you good viewers.
Thank you, Bhasmang.
Guys, you shoot me a DM, whatever questions you have regarding wildlife photography. I'm always available. I check all the DMs that I receive, and I do reply personally to all the DMs. So if I'm not able to answer your questions here, you can always get in touch with me on Instagram. Send me a DM, and I can be able to answer your questions. I do plan to take the online tutorials soon. So I'll keep you guys posted. You just keep an eye over my Instagram stories and my updates. So that's about it. Christina, it was lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure talking to you.